Under Secretary there, Quito. Nice to see everybody here, and I can feel the energy in the room. This is an issue that obviously engages everybody. Since I'm from UNICEF, I need to start with referring to the Convention on the Rights of the Child, which you might have heard about. And the Convention clearly spells out the basic rights of children. And one of the basic rights of children is, of course, the right to quality education. And it is supposed to be, actually, 12 years of education, at least. And that is a basic right. And not all countries in the world are able to provide that. Philippines, obviously, is very close. There's 1.2 million missing. And as Brother Lister said, I think we can do it. A little bit extra effort, a little bit of more understanding of where the gaps are, who these children actually are, where they are. This initiative on understanding and studying out-of-school children started in 2010 globally, and there are many countries, and I saw that in the report, actually all those countries are listed. In Southeast Asia, I think it's 3 countries. And the intention was, of course, to get a systematic picture globally. Why are children out of school? I think the Philippine study, in many ways, shows a similar picture, although there might be gaps due to, unfortunately, I think still gaps in sort of basic statistical data, such as data on indigenous people, on disabled children, and understanding of defining disabled children. And it is important to also know that the Philippines was actually one of the first in of many groups of countries in the world to join this. And the initiative has been a collaboration between the UNESCO Institute of Statistics and also UNICEF. And then, of course, in each individual country, we'll be working with the Department of Ministry of Education and so on, and many universities. Now, it is important to look at out-of-school children for a number of reasons. For equity reasons, who are they? Are they the more disadvantaged? And the answer, I think, unequivocally around the world is yes, they are. There are such reasons that Brother Amin mentioned, as their street children, their IP children, they are disabled children, and so on. So there's a strong rights, equity rights issue there in the out-of-school understanding. Of course, also, it's interesting for every single country to understand why a large proportion of children are not in school, because they also become an economic resource for the country. If they are left behind and out of the education system, they will not be able to contribute in the same way to economic growth and development in the country. If they're brought into the education system, they will hopefully be able to contribute, and they're enabled to contribute. And so there are many also issues or problems, if you can call them that, concerns that might be avoided by focusing on out-of-school children. We can see, for example, what's going on now in the Middle East, that in fact there is a very high percentage of out-of-school children in the Middle East. And out-of-school as in what we call school, and I'm not speaking about religious schools such as madrasas. And so many of those now engaged in the ISIS movement, for example, the movement, have in fact never been to a proper school or into religious schools such as a madrasa. So there are many, many issues that also contribute to peace So therefore, it really is encouraging to see that the Philippines has made a significant effort and a significant progress in addressing the issues of out-of-school children. Since 2010, and I think I have there has been a decline from 2.9 million in 2008 to 1.2 million at this present moment. It might even be lower. And that is really an impressive decrease in the numbers, and of course a huge contribution to the economy and development of the country. But again, this is not only on Brother Lister's shoulders. It is so many other actors and stakeholders play a part in ensuring that these children come back to school. It is the job of DSWD. It is the job of maybe those who work on infrastructure, or those who supply clean water and sanitation. We know, for example, that if schools have toilets, many more children are likely, and especially girls in the sort of age bracket where they start to have their period, they stay in school and they attend school more regularly. So there are many factors that contribute to school attendance and staying and coming back to school, of course. Interestingly also, the Philippines, the Department of Finance is now looking at a results-based budgeting, which means they're not going to look at has the Department of Education actually printed the 2 million books they got funding for. No, because that's not the result. The result is were the books distributed and were they used, and did it lead to a higher quality education? That's the result. And that's a system that the Philippine government at the moment is trying to implement and trying to make all different departments apply such a methodology in terms of reporting results of what they've done. And that can also, I think, make a huge difference to education attainment. I think my staff are getting worried because I'm having way beyond their notes to me. Anyway, the benefits of keeping children in school, getting them into school are many. And of course, we heard that ARM, that out-of-school youth in ARM is the biggest group. And one of the reasons for that is that very few children there actually go to pre-school, meaning they're not trained to be in a classroom setting. They do not know the sort of very elementary things about reading and writing and counting and so on. And if they come to school, they are totally unprepared for a classroom setting, to learn, to listen to someone who gives them instructions, to hold the pen, and so on. And so there are many more reasons than distance to school, than culture and so on, to being in school, getting to school. I'm glad to hear that DEPED is also considering building dormitories. We have experiences from other parts of this region, Vietnam, for example, where dormitories have actually played a huge part in making kids come to school and staying in school, because otherwise the distances are just too far. So it is something that can seriously be considered. So even if I say a huge progress has been achieved, 1.2 million is still a staggering figure. I mean, the city where I was born is just about 1.2. It's the capital of Sweden. It's 1.2 million people. And I can, if I think, oh my goodness, all of those people have never gone to school, that wouldn't be very good. So 1.2 million people is quite a lot of kids, actually. So we need an urgent, intensive, and concerted effort, not only by DEPED, by the country as such, to get those kids in school or back to school. UNICEF will continue to stand by DEPED it's not only the actual school being there, or the teacher, or the books. It's also the quality, as we heard before, that makes a difference for children learning and staying in school and enjoying school. And I think we need to pay more attention to this in the Philippines, ensuring that children are actually given quality education. I recently went to Panay, and I went to an IP community, and it was about an almost 2-hour trip. I mean, it was possible by car, so it wasn't too bad of roads and so on. It was pretty lovely. Arriving at the school of course had been damaged by Yolanda. There were no toilets in the school, there was no water. All the teachers, except the principal, were voluntary, meaning they shared 2,000 pesos a month. And they all lived outside, so all of them came from quite far. At least 3 out of 8 teachers slept at the school at night on the desks of the students because it was too far for them to go back. Now, what kind of quality education can you expect from voluntary teachers that get a few 100 pesos a month, maybe, are away from their families, which they probably have to support one way or another, have no real incentive to be there on a regular basis other than being good people. So having those reality checks, I realized that there is still, at least in patches, and so a lot to do, to be done. The gender disparity is an interesting thing. We know from global studies that girls do better in school all over the world. Doesn't matter if they're the majority or the minority. They do better at school, full stop. But we have different problems in different parts of the world. In Africa, families send their boys to school, girls stay at home. So, as well in India or South Asia, largely. Girls stay at home, boys go to school. Here it's the other way around. Very interesting, and I think it has changed. If you look back over time, it's probably a tendency that has changed. But again, no gender should be prioritized. But we should know why they're there or not there, and therefore maybe also give more attention to the differences. So I heard before I came here that there have been discussions on now whose responsibility is it to get these kids to school. And I did mention DepEd and so on. I know also that private sector has been mentioned in assisting getting kids back to school, and Brother Bistro had an example of businesses offering children to actually come into the business but also finish in high school while being in the business. I think that's an excellent solution. But let's just be reminded, and again I come back to the Convention of the Rights of the Child. The state is obliged to provide education to its children. The first responsibility lies with government. Maybe not only DepEd, but with other parts of it. And that's where the largest effort should lie. But it could certainly partner with other non-governmental partners, including private sector, to ensure this. Again, everyone will gain because the economy will grow and development will be faster. So to conclude, I'll say that UNICEF remains committed to continue working closely with the government of the Philippines and DepEd in particular in advocating for education for all Filipino children. And I hope that this report will not only be, will actually lead to action, but will not only